Hi, everyone, and welcome to the EA Interview Masterclass presented by EA How To. If we haven't met before, my name's Trinity James. I'm a career coach, and my business is Views of Professional Development. I'm a mum of two boys and a very sprightly Rottweiler that keeps me quite busy. And I love presenting to groups like this on how you can get ahead in your career. I know that interviews, they can be such a source of stress, especially when you've spent so much of your career supporting others behind the scenes. As an EA, you're amazing at making things happen quietly. But now that it's your turn to shine, that spotlight can feel really confronting. So, in this session, I'm going to be showing you how to use AI, particularly ChatGPT, as your behind the scenes prep. You're going to learn how to predict some really good questions before they catch you off guard. We're going to practice responses and get real time feedback and develop your tone. We're also going to build some interview ready stories from your day to day work and expand on the bullet points in your resume. So, this masterclass is really about giving you back control because interviews, they don't need to be scary when you've got the right prep, the right words, and the right structure. Everything just clicks into place. You're also going to leave with the actual prompts that I use with my coaching clients. So, all of this is highly practical and ready to use. So with that, when you get that interview offer that comes through on the phone, you often get that sense of panic when you're staring at a blank Google Doc screen trying to prepare. Your mind just goes blank. You think, what do I even say about myself? Look, most people, they leave interview prep until the last minute, and that is where things go wrong. So great interviews, they don't come from last minute cramming. They come from clarity, and that happens ahead of time. That's what we're going to build today, a process that works under pressure but also helps you sound natural and not scripted. So take a moment now and think, if you had an interview tomorrow, what would stress you out the most? Would it be talking about yourself? Maybe answering behavioral questions? Maybe you're a little bit worried about what questions you can ask at the end so that you sound smart and interested and it's not just a mic drop moment. Or maybe you're worried about how you can look confident on camera if it's a virtual interview. We're going to address all of that today in the presentation, and we're bringing in AI to take the edge off and give you some structure. But let's clear something up right off the board. This practice, it's not about sounding perfectly scripted or robotic. We're not here to memorize some perfect model answers because what works well in interviews today is sounding like a capable, self-aware human, someone who knows their value and can clearly articulate it. So we're going to use ChatGPT not to script you, but to help you practice until your words flow naturally. You can tell your story confidently in your own words. So let's kick things off. One of the very first ways that I like to get started is to get rid of that blank screen. And we can begin with a great prompt like this. What do successful candidates say in interviews for an executive role at BHP? I'm going to use BHP as the example throughout today, but obviously you're going to back through whatever you're applying for. So you can see straight away, as soon as you put this prompt into ChatGPT, you're not starting from a blank screen and you're not guessing anymore. We're going to be training with insights that mirror real responses from top candidates going for these kind of roles. It's like having a recruiter giving you a cheat sheet in your ear, but it's better because you still get to sound like you. So I want you to think of ChatGPT as your personal interview coach. It predicts likely questions. It's going to help you draft your answers. It's going to give you feedback when you practice out loud. And it's going to turn vague thoughts and bullet points into really clear, articulated stories that demonstrate your value. It's a sounding board, it's a thought partner, it's a research assistant, and it's available 24/7, even if you are prepping in your pajamas at 10 p.m. So one of the most common things that I hear with my interview prep clients is, I know that I've done a lot, but I don't know how to talk about it. So you might forget the details, you might downplay the wins, or you might find yourself always going off on tangents. Does that sound familiar? That's normal. Look, you've been too busy doing the work to narrate it. And this is where ChatGPT can really shine because it helps you take like just scattered experience and bullet points and shape it into a compelling, well-structured story so that you sound sharp and focused and not flustered. So let's get started by upgrading your language. So we don't want to undercut ourselves anymore. A great prompt that we can utilize in ChatGPT for this is to say, what are some confident, natural alternatives I can say instead of, I just supported the CEO with admin? And look at the result. I managed executive priorities. I built cross functional relationships. I protected my CEO's focus in a high pressure environment. See, that's the same job, but now it sounds like the strategic leadership and thought partnership that it really is. We all have these little undermining phrases that sneak in. And so here's how to reframe them. So if you find yourself saying that you're a perfectionist, let's switch that thought to I have high standards, but I balance them with practicality. Or if you're always apologizing, sorry, I'm nervous, let's reframe that to say, thanks for having me. I've been really looking forward to this interview. Or potentially, if you're sitting back and you're saying, I don't know, or you have a mind blank, you can reframe that to say, okay, look, here's how I'd approach that. See, these small shifts, they really signal confidence, even in tough moments. And ChatGPT can help you reframe your language so that you are speaking from that place of confidence and avoiding those undermining phrases that we all have. So, the STAR method, this is gold in interviews. And if you haven't heard of it before, I'm going to take a moment just to explain it now. So, this is how you tell your stories in a structured way, because I know that it's really hard to write these kind of stories from scratch. So, this is where we talk about the situation. So, we set the scene, then we'll briefly describe the task, what needed to be done, and then it will describe the actions that you took to solve that problem. And finally, we're going to tell the result. So, what changed because of your actions in this situation? So, we're going to use this fantastic framework to build up a bank of stories that we can pull from at any time during the interview when we get asked those kind of behavioral questions. Okay, so now let's walk through the full roadmap. So I've prepared here a step-by-step plug and play interview preparation system. And this is in your handouts as well, complete with the prompts that you can copy and paste. So once you've set this up properly, we're going to go through and you can use this to prepare for any interview. So the first step is to set up a chat. And this is where everything is going to flow from once you've set your chat up the right way. To get the best results, you want ChatGPT to understand who you are, what you bring, and where you're going. So we're going to take a few moments now to give it all the interview, all the information. First up, paste in your resume and your cover letter, and even potentially your LinkedIn profile. Just export that from PDF and pop it into the chat. Then we're going to tell it the three things that you want your interviewer to remember about you. For example, that you're confident, that you're calm under pressure, that you're strategic. Just think of the three things that you want to be memorized for when you walk out that door. Tell ChatGPT to see that at the outset of our chat here. And finally, we're also going to prime it with the job description of the role that you're going for. So you can load all these files directly into ChatGPT and prime it with this prompt. You are my interview coach. Use this information to help me prepare for my interview at BHP. We'll use that as the example. Keep my responses genuine, strategic, and aligned with my natural tone. See, this prompt, it sets the stage. It's the equivalent of giving your coach all of the details in an email, attaching the files before you meet with them for your session. Great. So now that ChatGPT understands who you are and what you're aiming for, we're going to ask it, what strengths should I emphasize in an interview for the executive assistant role at BHP? This is going to give us a blueprint for our messaging. So it's going to give you a clear sense of the core qualities that BHP are looking for, things like adaptability, communication, or stakeholder management, and you're going to be able to match those to your real life experience. It helps you focus your storytelling around what actually matters to them, not just what you think sounds impressive. And that is the key difference in successful interviews. Great. Now that we know what strengths we need to highlight that it's going to align with the job that we're going for, let's turn your top strengths into a 60-second pitch that you can use right at the start of your interview. So when you walk in the room, and this is going to make sure you turn up and start things on the front foot. So a great prompt that we can use here is using my resume, help me write a 60-second tell me about yourself answer. Make it warm, confident, and bubbly. Change those descriptive words to how you'd like to be perceived. So this pitch, it becomes your anchor. This is how you walk in the room and start strong and feel grounded from the very beginning. Plus, once this is actually written, you can rehearse it and keep saying it back until it feels second nature. And suddenly you're walking in that room with full confidence. All right, next up, this is where things start to get interesting. We want to walk into that room prepared, knowing what they're going to ask, or at least be ready for the most common interview questions for that particular role at that particular organization. So, the prompt that we can use here is, what are the 10 most common behavioral interview questions for EAs going for a role at company? Or we're using BHP. So, these are the questions that you're going to use to practice your star stories. You're going to start to see some patterns here, like time management, stakeholder handling, dealing with conflict, and you're going to be able to prepare thoughtful, relevant stories that are going to hit the mark. Once you've got your 10 most common questions, it's time to start building out your answers. And this is where we can start to use that star-based framework to target our responses. So the prompts we're going to use here is, can you write a star-based answer to question 10? That's just an example. So one of the other questions that we prepared in the last prompt. Use details from my resume where relevant. And now we can play around, because even if the first version of the story that ChatGPT prepares for you isn't perfect, it gives you something to work with. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from structure. And that's where confidence begins. All right. Now, this is a really good tip here. Reading answers in your head, it isn't enough. You need to say them out loud. You need to get used to hearing your own voice and build that muscle memory. So, a great prompt that you can use here is to pull it out on your mobile and put it into voice mode and get it to give you some live feedback on you giving your interview responses. So, the prompt that you can use here is, I'd like some feedback on my verbal responses to those interview questions. Ask me one question at a time and give me feedback on my tone and my clarity. And this is going to allow you to talk verbally back and forward with ChatGPT with the voice function. It's going to ask you a question, you'll respond, and it's going to offer you some constructive feedback. This makes your practice sessions more practical and real. It helps you build rhythm, pacing, and just confidence in how you speak. And yeah, I would really encourage you to spend some time with that. All right, now let's get strategic. So you want to show your interviewer that you've done your homework, and ChatGPT is brilliant for that. So we're going to start by using a prompt along the lines of, what are the company's current goals, challenges, and company priorities? When you tailor your answers and provide examples to reflect what the company actually cares about right now, you're going to show up as aligned, informed, and invested. You're not just prepared, you're prepared with insights, and you already sound like you're functioning as a really intelligent member of the team. So it's amazing to spend some time reading these answers and diving more into what's happening in the company and the industry right now. Now, this is really important as well. The interview isn't over when they stop asking you questions. Often at the end, they'll say, now, do you have any questions for us? And we want to make sure this isn't a mic drop moment. We want to make sure that you ask some really smart, strategic questions that are going to make you unforgettable here. A great prompt to help you prepare these questions is, give me 5 strategic questions to ask at the end of my EA interview that show that I understand the business and that I want to add value. And these can include some really detailed information about what success is going to look like in this role after 6 months, how you're going to support them tackling current challenges, how the role is going to support their broader strategic goals. So these aren't just throwaway questions anymore. These are going to leave an amazing final impression. So make it count, do your research, and come prepared with some smart questions at the end. A little bonus prompt that you can use here as well is, if you really want to impress, look up some recent articles, either they're posting it on LinkedIn, if there's something big is happening in the industry in the news, pop that into ChatGPT and say, summarize this and give me one strategic question that I can ask in my interview. I love using this one because it shows that you're tuned in, that you're up to date, you've got your finger in the pulse, and that you're thinking at the level of a strategic partner, not just an assistant. So I hope you found that helpful. I want to remind you, you don't need to become someone else or this perfectly polished version of yourself to ace your interview. You just need a prep process that works, tools that are going to save you time, and prompts that are going to bring out your best. And now you've got them. So I hope this has shown you how powerful it is to prepare smarter and use ChatGPT to help you achieve that. You've got everything that you need to walk in with confidence and leave a strong impression. If you'd like to follow up with me, if you've got any questions or you'd like further support, you're more than welcome to reach out. I'm on LinkedIn, Trinity James, and you can also find me at thewspd.com.au if you want to book in a quick call there as well. So thank you so much for tuning in and all the best for your next interview. Bye for now.